Talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to episode 279, where I speak with Richard Conway about digital marketing.
100%. I mean, you think about mechanics or you think about a plumber. You're not going to do that stuff yourself because you don't have the knowledge all the time. Yet a lot of people perceive that they'll do their digital marketing themselves because it can't be that hard or because they haven't got the budget. You wouldn't consider it with a lot of other things like a lawyer or an accountant or something like that. But in many respects, a lot of people in the digital marketing industry have spent years and years working on it day in and day out. And so they become experts. And the value proposition they bring is that expertise and that stuff they've learned over time. And for you to learn that would take much longer. That being said, it's not impossible to do yourself, like it's not impossible to fix your car yourself or do your plumbing yourself. It just takes a lot of time and effort, and you're likely to make mistakes. So it depends on what you want to focus. Do you want to focus on growing your business and doing what you're good at? Or is digital marketing a passion for you and you'd like to learn? It depends on the individual.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
And welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners, and you can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And today my guest is Rick Conway. And Rick is an entrepreneur, father, author, columnist and investor. He's the founder and CEO of Pure SEO, which is New Zealand's most awarded search agency. He has a number of awards listed next to his name, and there's just too many to read out. So I'll let him tell you a little bit more about all of those wonderful adulations that he's received. We're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of digital marketing. Welcome, Richard, and thanks so much for coming on today.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me. It's quite an entrance, but really I'm just, a guy who came over from England to New Zealand and started a business and had a go.
Yeah, well, honestly, those awards are, there's heaps of them, and congratulations on them. Tell me a little bit more about digital marketing and the good, the bad, and the ugly of it.
Cool. So I came to New Zealand, like I said, in 2009, and I ran a company for someone in England. And when I came to New Zealand, no one wanted to give me a job because I didn't have Kiwi experience. So I thought I'd start my own business. And the reason I started a digital marketing agency was because there were a lot of businesses out here that were doing digital marketing, but taking really big shortcuts. And you can see they wouldn't have got away with that in England, but they were getting away with it in New Zealand. And it was obvious to me that at some point they were going to be caught out. I mean, Google's algorithms far smarter than me or smarter than them. And sure enough, sort of 18 months later, all their clients lost their rankings. And initially, that's what led me to choose to start Pure SEO.
Okay. So I guess what is the using an agency is, obviously a good way to go if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, what are ways that we can actually increase our footprint and make it more sustainable for our businesses?
Cool. So there's a few things. So firstly, a lot of digital marketing is actually just good marketing, and there are a lot of acronyms and smokes and mirrors, but in essence, if something looks like good marketing, it's probably the right thing to do. If it looks like spam, then it's probably the wrong thing to do. Funnily enough, a couple of years ago, I wrote a book for Penguin Random House for the Australian and the New Zealand market, specifically for small business owners so they could do their own digital marketing, and it takes them through in kind of a layman's terms how to do it yourself, because like you say, there's so much conflicting information and there's so much information out there. How do you distill it, and how do you know what's right and what's wrong? And ultimately, for a small business owner, a lot of them can't afford to pay an expert, and sometimes they can afford and they choose the wrong expert and everything goes wrong. And so having a basic understanding is really important. On the other side, it's constantly evolving and it's constantly changing, and there's constantly new things. But the one vein that goes through everything is, it is just good marketing. If something is good marketing, it's going to help. All Google wants to show is relevant results for searchers. And so if you're writing for your audience, if you're communicating in a manner that's going to give value to your audience, you're kind of doing the right thing anyway. And then there's a few other things on top of that, like finding what keywords people are searching for, making sure they're populated in the correct places, and then using things like Google Shopping if you've got e-commerce, but also selecting the right platform and the right medium for your audience, because not every platform is right for every audience. You're an accountant, you're probably not going to focus on TikTok or Facebook. You might focus on LinkedIn or Google search. Whereas if you're a fast-moving consumer goods, you might well focus on those platforms.
Now, we as business owners, we hear a lot about digital marketing, about SEO and keywords and all those sorts of things, that the things that we should be doing, but a lot of us still aren't doing, because some of us just aren't tech savvy and we just don't understand, the benefit of good digital marketing. If you aren't tech savvy, what are some things that are easy to understand for someone, to be able to put into their blogs or onto their website, or even into their, LinkedIn, which helps?
Cool. So you can kind of think of Google searches like an online popularity contest. Now, the more things you do, the more action you take. Like same with owning a business, you do things every day, and small steps make big things. So for example, going on podcasts, being a guest author about your subject, making sure that, even if you're an introvert, you're on LinkedIn, if you're B2B, and you're talking about your industry and you're sharing information and you're putting value out there. And I think the big thing is a value exchange. If you're putting value out there, and you're going to be an expert in your industry, and people are going to be interested if they're looking for something around your industry. So have the confidence to share your knowledge, and don't worry about, I'm sharing my knowledge, someone will copy me. Because the way I view it is, if someone's copying you, they're always going to be a follower. They're never going to be a leader. So give value, put your content out there, start to create yourself as a maven in your industry. And the more of that you do creatively over time, you do it for years, the value will build and build, and then it will be very hard to displace you.
Yeah, adding value though is sometimes difficult for people who aren't proficient at writing. I'm putting all these, negative Nancy things into the conversation, but there are a lot of people who aren't good at writing a blog, and they're not good at, lots of other things. And this is where a digital marketing agency would obviously be of benefit for them. However, as I said, people just sometimes can't afford to when they're first starting out. How do we get around, adding the value? What is value, I guess, if they don't understand what that means?
Right. So, for example, say you're a plumber and you really don't know how to write content. How about doing DIY videos, or how about doing a little video around the biggest problem with something in your industry? And that way you don't have to write, but you're communicating to your audience in a way that's comfortable with you, and you can put that video on your website. And then it's good to have a transcription underneath that video, because Google is a semantic algorithm, so it does look at the words. But I think the important thing is to show your personality, to show your skill, and do it in a means that's easy for you. So it could be conversational, so it could be a podcast, it could be video, it can be what suits you. It doesn't necessarily have to be a blog post. But I am also a big believer in using experts to create content, or to create the strategy for you, because they're experts in that, and it gives you the time to focus on what you're good at. And a great example is when my business was a year old, I spent $10,000 on a website. And for me at the time, that was a lot of money. I was a 1 or 2 man band at the time. I couldn't really afford it. But the original website I built looked like a child had done it, because I'd done it myself and I didn't have that skill. My first inquiry through that website was Singapore Airlines, right? I never signed them as a client, but it showed me the value of your shopfront and how you're perceived online. And every time I've taken that risk and spent that investment, as long as I've understood that it's going to be an investment and won't show an immediate return, it's returned manyfold. And it's allowed me to focus on what my core is. And my core is, building a business.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand the difference between an investment and spending money. I mean, it's to them, it's this. It's if they don't see immediate return, it becomes disheartening for them. But ploughing $10,000 into a website will eventually get a return on your investment. What would you advise people who can't see the wood for the trees in that scenario?
I'd say think about yourself and yourself as a consumer and how you would react with a brand. I mean, I gave a talk to a Rotary Club, and everyone in there is like 70s, 80s, and 90s. They're all sort of old school. And I said, put your hand up if you use Google in the last 24 hours. And every single person in that room put their hand up. Now, that's pretty profound with that older generation. And so being online is where people are, across all ages. And so you want to be where your customers are. And so you've got to invest in yourself and invest in your business, because otherwise, how are you going to grow? I mean, it's quite a famous saying is you can't sell a secret. You've got to get yourself out there. You can have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, how are you going to sell it? The other thing which also amazes me is you run a Google Ads campaign for someone, and you show the ROI, and they say, look, I only want to spend $5,000 a month on Google Ads, and that's fair enough. But then you show them for every dollar they're spending, they're getting $3 in return. And you say to them, would you spend more if every dollar you gave me, I just gave you $3? I said, of course I would. So why aren't you doing that on this platform when that's what it's doing for you? Keep increasing and measuring it and having a look at the return. I've got an unlimited budget for my own business on Google Ads, but it tops out 4 to 6K a month. But that's because I know which keywords convert, and I know how much it's cost per conversion, and I know how much a client is worth. And so if you work out those numbers, open the floodgates, just look at the numbers. And if it's working, try that channel. And there's also, with that, you've also got to do some brand building stuff as well. Not everything is going to give you that immediate return like Google Ads. So you've got to do all sorts of things. I mean, for my own business, we rank top for SEO. We do Google Ads, we do social media marketing, we're on the radio, we've got 20-something branded cars on the road. And all of that helps to bring in business, it helps to keep the brand top of mind. And so there's two sides, there's the direct response, but there's also the brand building, which is important if you want to be in business for the long term and if you want to grow your business.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, getting the professionals in to do the work for you if you don't know what you're doing. And I learned from experience. I've just learned from people like yourself, and I do all my own SEO, and I'm falling short on like my name ranks #1, but nothing else ranks #1. Like I can't get my website to rank #1 or anything like that. So Google was kind enough to send me a notification to say that my name ranks #1 on their pages. So I was really happy with that.
That's cool.
But anyway, it's difficult. It's difficult if you don't know what you're doing, and it takes a long time to learn to do it, so that you get the benefit from it. So why not hire an agency that is skilled in doing that and save yourself a lot of heartache?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you think about mechanics, or you think about a plumber. You're not going to do that stuff yourself because you don't have the knowledge all the time. Yet a lot of people perceive that they'll do their digital marketing themselves because it can't be that hard, or because they haven't got the budget. You wouldn't consider it with a lot of other things like a lawyer or an accountant or something like that. But in many respects, a lot of people in the digital marketing industry have spent years and years working on it day in and day out, and so they become experts. And the value proposition they bring is that expertise and that stuff they've learned over time. And for you to learn that would take much longer. That being said, it's not impossible to do yourself, like it's not impossible to fix your car yourself or do your plumbing yourself. It just takes a lot of time and effort, and you're likely to make mistakes. It depends on what you want to focus. Do you want to focus on growing your business and doing what you're good at, or is digital marketing a passion for you and you'd like to learn? It depends on the individual.
Digital marketing is not a passion of mine. Trust me. If I could get away with and give it to somebody else, I certainly would. There's a lot of difference between Google ads and Facebook ads, and now LinkedIn has advertising as well. Can we just run through a little bit what the differences are, and explain like the click per cost per click?
Cool. So the way Google search works is, with Google search, you're doing a search. There's a actual intent on that search. I'm looking for something. And as a business, you bid on terms. Now, if someone types that term in, your ads will appear on Google. If it just appears and nobody clicks on you, it costs you nothing. That's called an impression. If someone clicks on that ad, it costs you a cost per click. Now, it's an auction system. So if everything's equal, you pay a little bit more, you're going to be a bit higher. You set a daily budget, so it's $10 a day, and your ads will stop appearing once you spent that budget. Now, there's real intent with that because someone's physically typing something into Google and you're answering that. Then Google also has display advertising, and that's an image advert that appears on third-party websites, and it can go through 3 rotations for up to 30 seconds, and it gives you the ability to put a message across, but it's not got the same search intent. So the click-through rate, so the number of people who see it divided by the number of people who click on it, is going to be much lower than on the Google search. But it's good for brand, and it's good if you've got a really compelling offer, or if you've got a new product and you're trying to educate the market. Now, social media ads, depending where the platform is, are very different. So social media ads are more social in nature and are more focused on consumer things. Like, you're never going to advertise an accountancy practice on Facebook, or you're unlikely to. Some will. But if you're a gym and you're doing a 6-week fitness program, you could target specific demographics and appear and put a special offer, and it's quite cheap to do on platforms like that. When you're looking at LinkedIn, it's a lot more expensive, but it's a lot more business-focused audience. Now, we do advertise on Facebook, we do advertise on social, we also advertise on LinkedIn, we also do Google ads, because they all have their place, but they have different messaging, different demographics, and different intent. Now, we're a very data-led organization, and I know that if I push someone down a conversion funnel, that means I push them to a page which sort of pushes them down a funnel and gets them to contact us. I know that if I do that and the customer signs up, they're on average going to spend 12 to 15 months as a client. Whereas if I don't push them down a conversion funnel and I get them to interact with our brand on multiple platforms before they contact us, they're going to be more than double the length as a client. And so also understanding the lifetime value of a client and the way in which a client interacts with your brand is really important. For search engine optimization, unlike Google ads, doesn't happen overnight. It can take 12 months before you even start going up the rankings. Now, as long as someone's educated that that's the case and they're aware of it, then they're going to stay and they're going to go on a journey. If they're told, like a lot of agencies say, we guarantee you'll be on page 1 in 3 months, there's always going to be something they're doing that's not quite kosher. So it could be they're going for keywords that nobody else is going for, that don't have search volume. They could be taking shortcuts. There are no long-term valuable shortcuts in search engine optimization. And the reason for that is if you think about it, if it was really easy to do it, the results would be changing all the time and no one would come back to Google. So all Google cares about is serving the right result for the right searcher for that query. And so the focus has to be on making sure you're answering those queries and you're doing it in the correct manner. But it's going to take time. It's not going to be overnight. And that's why often we have clients who start with Google AdWords and SEO, or social AdWords and SEO. And the initial leads and the initial business comes through the paid marketing, while the SEO does not very much in the background. Then when the SEO starts to bring in the leads, they pare back the paid advertising. And so they're very different outcomes, but it's really important to understand the benefits and drawbacks of each. And a good agency will explain those. A slightly dodgy agency will just try and get you over the line by telling you what you want to hear. And then you're going to end up disappointed. And it's a bad thing for the whole industry.
Yes, absolutely. I've had some dealings with some digital marketers who've promised me almost overnight success.
Yeah.
And, they say, well, you don't pay anything if you don't get anything, within a month. Well, really, I know too that, SEO takes a long time. It's not a 1 month fix. It's a very, very long-term investment. And people just don't understand that. They just want a quick fix, and there is no quick fix to SEO.
No. If you want the quick thing, you do Google Ads, or you do a social campaign, and then you've got direct response. We do some radio as well with it, and you mix it. I'm a big believer in not just focusing on digital and looking at the whole marketing strategy. You want to be where that conversation is, or where that need is at that moment in time. And that moment might be on Google search, it might be on social, it might be on the radio, it might be on a billboard. You've got to understand what your business, but it's all about those micro moments when someone has a thought for the service that you want, and you need to be there at those times.
Yeah, I mean, I love Google because Mr. Google knows everything. And, if I have an epiphany and I want to go and buy something, I just have to put in the search words, and, I get, 1,000 options, where I can go shopping to buy this particular item. And it's a wonderful platform, and, kudos to the man who invented it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to evolve those. We're talking about the Web 3.0 coming in the future, and that's going to change everything in respect of how we market and how digital marketers or even businesses interact with the internet. We're still at early days, but that whole Web 3.0, the metaverse, NFTs, that's going to change everything. And as an agency, we need to know about that ahead of the curve, like we worked with voice search ahead of the curve. Now, I've got 2 kids and they like speaking to these voice speakers, and that's normal for them. And so we have to think always what's coming around the corner. And that's one of the benefits of having a digital agency, because they're not just looking at now, they're looking at how to future-proof your business, and how to, or good digital agency is, and how to utilize future trends and future technologies for your business today.
Yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly with that. I just got a notification on Facebook this morning that Facebook is making more changes, and where last year that they allowed you to register your podcast, now they're taking the podcast option off as of the 3rd of June this year. And, no one's using it, so we'll just take it away and, treat everyone like naughty children. And they make these changes without notifying the user. So when the user goes to click on something, it's not there anymore. It's wonder people are leaving in droves, because it's just, it's getting so hopeless now.
It is. One of the things to think about is, you can invest a lot of money in your social platforms, or you can take that money and invest that in your own infrastructure. So your own website, your own content, your own blogs. And there's pros and cons of both. But obviously with your own website, you own that. So you're not at risk of all of a sudden some rules changing. Because it used to be back in the day that people would only have a Facebook page for their business. But then Facebook changes rules, or or you get pinged for something, and all of a sudden, it's a disaster. Your whole business is reliant on that. And so I'm a believer in investing in your own platforms as well, your own website, your own
Everything.
data. Yeah.
Everything.
Because you have more control.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to Google my business website. I have my own website and don't rely on Facebook at all anymore because, the things that I used to have on there, you can't use. And if you change to the new Facebook experience, it's not it is an experience. It's a bloody disaster.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And,
Yeah.
whoever invented it should be shot.
Yeah, and the skill sets, are constantly evolving. So we, as an agency, we've got about 100 people, but we have people that focus on specific niches and really drill down deep on those niches, because you can't realistically be an expert in all the different platforms, all the different digital marketing aspects. And so you have to get people that are really passionate about their particular side, and then you get the people who work with those, the account managers or the strategists, who can then put it all together. But you're never going to get one person who's an expert at all the different platforms and all the different
it's too much
methods.
to know, too much to learn, and too much, just too much. Your brain's only so big that you just can't shove everything in there.
No, and even in the industry, there's stuff I'm learning all the time from the guys that I work with. It's pretty incredible. And we've gone one stage further than most, because we're a bit bigger than most in NZ, is we have a head of product. And the head of product job is to continually, iteratively improve our product, look at what changes there are, and make sure that we stay ahead of that curve. Because like I said earlier, you put lots of information out there, you've always got to be ahead of everybody else. You've got to be doing things differently. If you're just watching what everyone else is doing, you're a follower. And I think it's important to be pushing
Innovator.
the boundaries. Yeah. And I think,
no, that's good. Richard, tell me what the title of your book is again, and where people can find it.
So it's How to Get to the Top of Google Search, published by Penguin Random House. I suppose most online bookshops will sell it. I'm not sure if it's still in bookshops around, but just search for it online. How to Get to the Top of Google Search by Richard Conway. I know it's available Australia, New Zealand, and funnily enough, my business partner was on a boat trip down the Danube, and he saw a lady at the bar reading it. So
wow!
Seems to have got far and wide.
And where can people find you, Richard, if they would like to work with your business?
Cool. Website is pureseo.com. That's PURE, S for sugar, E for echo, O for October.com. I'm on LinkedIn. Reach out to me, connect with me. I'm pretty relaxed. I'll talk to anyone.
So there you go. Richard, any words of encouragement for our viewers and listeners today?
So I think the thing is, have a go, right? A lot of it isn't massively complicated. A lot of it's good marketing. And I think often the difference between success and failure is trying and doing something every day towards your goal. It's not going to be a straight line. It's always going to be a wiggly line. But setbacks will happen, and you get up, you face the world, and you carry on. And I think that's the important thing: resilience and continual improvement, little steps. Nothing special about me growing a big agency. Nothing special about most successful entrepreneurs, just people. But it's having that resilience and trying and keep on going and be optimistic. Some good stuff happens.
Yes, absolutely. Richard, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you and to learn more about digital marketing. It's I like the way you explained it. It was very simple and easy to understand.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
You too.
Talking with the experts.